Good afternoon and welcome back to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we have on two guests from Creative Collective, Tia Cole and Michelle La Poetica Richardson. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So I will ask you real quick, if you have to sum up what Creative Collective does as an organization, how would you do that?
Oh, this is a big one.
Yes.
So mainly we're a business program. We support entrepreneurs, nonprofits, individuals who are creatively aligned. We give them technical assistance, business development resources, access to funding, and things like that. Really just connecting the dots between everybody.
Y lo hacemos en inglés y en español. It is something that I feel like is very important as well. A lot of times people don't access these resources and these things that just are accessible to them because of language. So I think that that's important too, that when the Creative Collective comes into play, they always seek to make sure that all the barriers are obliterated. Is it language? We'll find somebody that can interpret for us. Is it funding? We'll find something, resources. So there's always a will to take it to that next step.
And the other side of it too is we also supply them marketing and kind of through this lifestyle brand that we have called Creative North Shore, and that where we promote the businesses, but we also promote like things that are happening and events that are coming up, and like look at what we just did in Cape Ann, like that kind of stuff all throughout the North Shore.
So you kind of promote like the whole package sort of deal.
All of the area, arts and culture is really underrepresented when it comes to
and underassisted when it comes to a lot of things.
But specifically marketing, we always see a whole. So to be able to create that story for everybody and tell that story, because everyone's too busy making art or making change to necessarily tell everybody what's going on.
So leading into that, I will ask Tia, you're the special projects manager. So what is your main role?
So I like a challenge, and I don't like doing the same thing all day. So what that means is that when we find opportunities that could benefit the creative workforce in our businesses, we kind of facilitate them. So that can look like Lynn Side Out, we just did in downtown Lynn in partnership with the city of Lynn. And with that, we put together a whole team of an MC, performers, musicians,
all local,
DJs, face painters.
En inglés y en español, because the hosting, everything, the food offered, the programming, the materials that were handed out, everything was multilingual. So that was huge. And
that was to represent City Hall. They wanted to kind of get out into the city and really talk to the people. So we know that the creative workforce, these creative businesses, these amazing performers, those are the people that are really good at sharing everybody else's stories. So how do we connect them to a job opportunity to work for, like a municipality or something that maybe somebody else wouldn't have thought of hiring them, or utilizing those creative elements?
See a need, fill a need type of mentality. Like every client is different. Every member of the collective is different. A lot of those of us that are working in the collective came to the collective, through a gateway that wasn't gate kept. You understand? Yeah. So when you have a lifetime of closed doors and ungained access, and you come across an entity. Because basically the Creative Collective is an entity, an entity that not only says your name, but says your name in rooms where that you don't even know exist. I have my name. Was I Michelle La Poetica before the Creative Collective came into my life? Yes. Am I more me now because of the collective? Absolutely. And I'm not the only one. Through the pandemic, I think it's important. This is how me and Tia met, through the mutual aid fund that was created here. Like the way this community came together, in one of the worst times of history, and just made things happen. We worked together to help the greater all, and it was beautiful. And the collective kind of does that. They work with all for the greater good of all. Like if a municipality, like Lynn wanted to do the best to outreach into the community, to get into the community and get the community to know the city and the departments. So here comes the collective, knowing where all the touch points are. They know the artists because they've worked with us for a whole plethora of other things. They know the small businesses because the small businesses are either members or somebody that somehow is able to provide a service to the collective or to a collective member. And it all comes together.
We always try and champion the underdog.
Yeah.
Who are you not thinking about in this situation, and how can we grab them and pull them in?
Yep.
Listen, being in a creative field, I'm definitely all for that. I definitely love that idea. And you were talking about how much COVID changed you, and then as you're looking forward, you also mentioned that you had been doing a rebranding for downtown, and kind of what are you thinking looking forward?
So that was really exciting because I think everybody's always like, well, we should change the narrative of Lynn, and we should do this and we should do that. So we were lucky enough to be able to be hired to do that work. We were selected, and that's exciting. So having the opportunity to go out into the community, hold meetings with different artists, talk to people one-on-one, and really find out how do we authentically represent the downtown now that there's obviously been so much change over the last 10 years. Wow. I think the last marketing plan was like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So what is the city now? And we worked with Dani Spencer to be a creative consultant as well.
Who's a force to be reckoned with. This child, I mean, she's amazing. Like I love to listen to her talk because she's just got that fire that so many people have sometimes, sadly, at one point had. Until, everybody, did their best to thwart the flames. So this is another reason why the collective, and I'm always going to bring it back to the collective, because the collective is doing their utmost best to fuel everybody's fire and make sure that everybody gets, their goals and their dreams. I mean, I performed at the Cabot Theater, in Beverly. I grew up in the North Shore. I'm a Peabody kid. So I grew up in Peabody, and when you're from the North Shore, you're from the North Shore. Peabody, Salem, it's all connected. Oh yeah. And for me to walk on the stage of the Cabot Theater and perform with my afro and my afro pick, and you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what happens when people say your name in rooms that you don't know happen. That this is what happens. So this is where, for me as an artist, the creative collective is so important. I think it's important that these things are said, small businesses like over here on Union Street, the TDI project.
I haven't finished.
Okay.
I
get in my feelings.
All right. Okay. We worked with Dani Spencer to create the logo and stylize the color, really just based on how she felt about the downtown and what she saw, and like her experience in being here. And she's, got murals of her face downtown.
Yes. I have seen those. I got you.
Yes.
And we worked with a young entrepreneur. Miguel over there is amazing. He has such impeccable graphic design, videography, photography. He's a member. So one of the reasons it's great when we get to work on these projects is, again, we're just kind of uplifting the voices. I wasn't necessarily going to go in and create a whole brand kit for the city of Lynn myself, because when one person does that job, it doesn't end up representing everybody, right? So we have to make it a team collective, and making sure that we're using people that live or work in the downtown and figure it out to be able to tell the story of what it is. So that's exciting, and Lucretia just did a little story in the paper about how it's coming up, and I can't wait to see how it gets implemented and utilized in the future, because I'm really proud of our city.
No, it is. It's amazing the change that's been happening just everywhere in Lynn, everywhere. That's what I just see everywhere, and I love it. Yeah. I love getting to see that.
All these change makers are from here.
Oh, it's all local.
They're from Lynn, yes.
And I think it's important. What I'm seeing now is we work with Mass Development has come in with their TDI stuff, and there's a Creative Cities project. And what we see when we get to be in these rooms is there's a lot of listening and understanding that, yes, we've changed a lot, and yes, we've changed really fast, but how do we still honor the authenticity of the community while we do it? So it's great to hear that narrative being spoken in these rooms that are really making the decisions on how our future is going to be.
And I'll have one last question for you, as much as I wish we could just keep going, because this is so interesting. You mentioned that businesses, people are members. Yeah. So how would you get involved if you are a young artist or if you are a business, municipality who wants to get involved?
Yeah, so you can reach out to us through our website. It's probably the best because we have a whole flow for it. But if you're a business that is trying to find their support but isn't really sure where they fit in or where they go, we're obviously very inclusive, I think is one of the things that we always talk about in all aspects, whether it's, race, gender, age, everything. We really try and fill that and hold that space for everybody as a business owner.
And there's a development component there and an educational component there that comes with the collective as well. So a lot of these businesses aren't really there yet, because of lack of awareness or access or whatever it may be. So the collective will come in with a plan, that will help them succeed. So this is also important, and they educate the member or the person as they go.
And so you can go to the website or you can come to a meetup. We do networking events roughly twice a month, depending on, if it's Christmas. We didn't do one last month. And just shooting us an email. If the website's overwhelming, if the networking seems a little scary, but you just want to know what's going on or how you can participate or how you can learn more, shooting us an email at the info@creativecollectivema.com always works too.
Great. Those all sound great, and thank you for coming on to talk about it too, to spread the message.
I appreciate you having us. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. And once again, I'm Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we will see you next week with more guests.